So as a father of soon-to-be two daughters and one on the way, I think a lot about what I want strength and like manhood and just like what kind of example I want to set. Like in the video I was talking about a couple days ago, what an example of a good man should look like to them. And where I've sort of settled on is it's got to be sort of a combination of, you know, the physical and the mental, right? And that's not all just brute force. Some of that has got to be, you know, knowing when certain things are appropriate, right? And what I mean by that is like, not every problem is a nail that needs a hammer. You don't gotta break down every door just because it's closed. Sometimes the best decisions are to accept that a door is closed and go find a better one, right? That might be the solution. And I just try to get an example. Like, if there's something I want my daughter to come talk to me about, I want her to feel comfortable saying like, all right, this has happened and, you know, I should talk to my dad about this. I can't just, every time it happens, I can't just be like, listen, you should have talked. Like, I can't be in her face yelling at her like, you should have talked to me about this. I have to create an environment in some respect that makes her comfortable coming to do it on her own, right? So those of you who watch the other videos I've made and be like, oh, he just don't care about nothing. Like, no, I do. I just think there's a certain time and place for everything. And the time to be expecting, you know, sympathy and empathy from people is not when you're a full-ass grown adult. At that point, you got to figure your own shit out. But I have an opportunity to make a better life than I had for my children. So that is the appropriate time to be asking these kinds of questions. And for you, the appropriate time to be asking those questions for you is with your own children. So again, I got to create an environment that allows her to be comfortable to say, all right, I could depend on him to do this. And again, it's not a matter of just like making her feel so good that she'll never be in trouble. That doesn't mean we lack consequence, but it does mean that she needs to know that I have her best interests at heart. So some of that involves me talking to her. Some of that involves me showing her through my actions that I have good intentions, that what I really desire and want is to have a life for myself, for her mother, for my wife, you know, for her sister, for the people in our household. That is one where they feel taken care of. And you know, that's not always easy to do. You have to be willing to check yourself a lot if that's the life you're going to live, because you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to always be right. There's plenty of times where I have said something, and again, this speaks to my daughter's comfort with where we are. There's been more than one time where my daughter has come to me and said, hey, after I've told her to do something, after I've said something, after I might have disciplined her, and she's been like, hey, I didn't, when you said that, I didn't like how you said that. I didn't like that you said it. Sometimes she's been wrong about that just because it required me to speak up in a certain tone. But there's been more than once where she's been right, where my tone it wasn't required. Like I didn't and this is the thing I think parents do a lot. And that's what I'm talking about. We think we got to be, when we talk to our kids, we got to be, you know, over them all the time. Like we hear, they hear. And that's just not necessary. And sometimes my daughter will catch that, right? Again, and she only catches that because I believe, because she sees how we normally talk to each other all the time, especially how me and my wife talk to each other. And she knows what healthy conversations can look like. So when she sees a deviation from that, she knows like, okay, that I might not know why that's wrong, but I know that doesn't follow suit with what I've already seen. And I think making space for that, and then when your kid does come to you and say, hey, this didn't look right to me, acknowledging it, and then it being able to admit when you fucked it up. There is a level of I believe, humility and just teaching that's going to go further than you can imagine, especially with your children, with dads raising daughters, of you as a man being able to look her in the eyes and be like, yeah, I was wrong. I messed that up. Because you do not want your daughters to believe that men, because they are leaders, right? If I'm teaching my daughter, like, I'm the leader of our house, I am not going to teach her that men are infallible. That's bullshit. We're not always right. And part of our jobs as adults in the house, just like my wife's not infallible, is to be able to admit when we're wrong so that we can get to a better result. Again, this channel is about behavior and results, not how you feel about it. Even though I didn't like having to hear from my daughter, I didn't like that. I might not like that day. I didn't want to hear that day. Well, sometimes even I got to shut up and be like, all right, well, yeah, I should have done that better. I should have done it better. So there is always this really strange balance that you have to be aware of when you're a dad, and just a parent in general. But I'm specifically talking about being a dad to a girl, where you want to pass down to them that a good man should not put you in a position where you have to be fending for yourself. But also, I'm not going to teach you to depend on men for everything you do. You should be capable, right? My wife is capable of changing a tire, but she doesn't have to, and she won't have to. My wife is capable of doing lots of other things that I exclusively do in the house, just like I'm capable of doing things that she does. But we do not have to, because we have assumed those roles for each other, because that's what a healthy marriage can be. Servitude to each other without necessarily expectation. So yeah, if you are a parent, just understand there's a reason this is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. And you are always going to be trying to strike a balance. And that balance is going to require you to look at yourself in the mirror and drop a lot of bullshit ideas that you have about what it means to be whoever you think you are. Anyway, I'm going to go hang out with my family. I'll talk to y'all later.